Shabbat Shalom. This week's parasha is Parashat Truma. Truma, in literal translation, means donation. And it's talking about the beginning of the process of building the Mishkan, the tabernacle, in the desert, the first house of God that Moses built during the time of Jewish people living in the desert, and it then continued to serve as the center and the heart of Jewish nation through the time 40 years in the desert. After that, traveling to Israel, and then for 1,000 years in Israel, the heart of the Jewish nation were always the tabernacle and then the temple, eventually in Jerusalem. So the beginning of this process is, of course, donating, because every Jew participated in the building of the Mishkan. Many kinds of donations. There were the basic donation, and that every Jew bought the same amount, not more, not less. And then was the second part, that every Jew brought what he have. And of course, Jewish people brought everything that they could have bring in the desert, as explained in length in the next few parashot. Now I want to talk on the beginning of the commandment that God telling Moshe to collect. God telling Moshe, talk to the Jewish people and they will bring to me a donation. And the term that the Torah use to bring the donation is that they will take donation and bring to me. To take. The Torah use the term take. Now the literal explanation is because God telling Moshe to talk with the collectors, that they will collect, they will take the donation from the Jewish people and bring it to the temple. But we really need to understand these words of God, that God telling Moshe to talk to the Jewish people and they will take. They should give. This is the true, like the more simple word. They giving. They not taking. They not receiving. They are giving. And this term of giving in place of receiving, or the opposite, receiving instead of giving, this is a term that we need to understand. When the Torah talking about giving the donation to God, saying the word they should take, they are actually receiving. So we can offer a few explanations that we can learn from. Let's talk about the first explanation, the most simpler explanation. The most simple explanation would be, and we find this term actually before, when the Torah talking about Abraham hosting his guests. The Torah saying 4 times the term that Abraham took. When Abraham gave his guest food, Abraham took the cow and took the bread and took the butter. And when the Torah want to say that Abraham gave it to his guest, the Torah say that Abraham took and took and took. Why? There is a story about one of the biggest Jewish scholars. His name was the Abarbanel. He was a minister in the house by the king of Spain. He was very noble person, amazing scholar that wrote commentary on all the Bible and all Torah, long explanation. He was amazing scholar in many subjects, not only in Torah. He was a philosopher, very big philosopher, very big knowledgeable person in all kinds of how you say, topics and subjects. And he was very famous person in Spain before the exile from Spain. And one of the ministers that he didn't like that the king have a minister that he is a Jew. He told the king that this Jewish person is stealing money. So the king called Rabbi Dan Yitzchak Abarbanel, Rabbi Yitzchak Abarbanel, and told him that he will tell him the amount of money that he possesses. So he told him, let me calculate, give me a few days. And he calculated everything that he had, and then he offered the king a paper, summarization with all his belongings, everything. And the king looking on the paper, and he said, sorry, it doesn't make any sense. I see how you live, I see what you got, and I see, and it's much more. You gave me a smaller valuation than what you literally have. So Abarbanel told the king, it's true, but this is summarization of all the charity that I gave. Because my true, what I really have, is what I gave to others. What I have in my home and the worth of my clothing and money, this is not a true, I don't have a true ownership on those things, because that can go in the same thing, in the same way that I got them. I can say goodbye to them. It's not really belong to me. What I gave to others as charity, as kindness, those amounts stayed with me forever. Because whatever I give is calculated as goodness, and it's God saving them, and eventually it will come to me right back in whatever way that God will decide that it will come to me. But in the end, this is the true. I am a receiver when I am a giver. When we hosting people, giving them food and drinks and good heart and a smile, we basically giving ourselves, because in the end, this is the true things that stay with us and with others forever. What we have in a bank account, it doesn't really count. This is first lesson that we can learn from the word take, because when you're giving charity, when you're giving donation to God, when you're giving donation to others, to the needs of others, it means that you put this €5 in the bank of eternity, bank of goodness, and you basically receiving it. Now you truly owns it. This is first explanation that we can learn from this to take Truma. Second explanation would be, if a person think about what's going on here. God, this is more philosophical, but very important. God building a house for himself. This house will be the ultimate place that God will reveal himself. It will be clear. All the miracles that God will do, everything will go through the tabernacle and eventually the temple. That was daily miracles. That was the center, the heart of Jewish nation. That was place of revelation of God. Inside the temple was the menorah, and of course the ark of the covenant with the tablets. And from there God spoke with Moses, and Moses heard the voice of God. And the high priest was going in the Holy of Holies. And of course there was this Urim Vetumim, the way that the priest spoke with God with the choshen, with the stones, and was the center of holiness in this world, the place of holiness, that was daily, and every moment was there miracles and revelation of God. That was the temple. And who God choosing to build with him this temple? Every Jew. So basically, we becoming, with this small donation, partners with God. There is a Jewish law, there is a law that a person, how it works, the laws of Kiddushin, it's a whole laws, how to, a person become, the first stage of marriage is the engagement with the ring, or not necessarily with a ring, but the husband giving the wife, the groom giving the bride. And with the pleasure of receiving, she becoming connected to him, and this is the marriage, the beginning of engagement. This is what we're doing in the chuppah. Now, the laws are very, very long and detailed, but the idea is that he can give to her. She is not giving to him. But if this person is very, very, very famous, very, very, very important, it's a king, it's a prince, it's a very famous person, and with him receiving from you, you becoming so happy that he received from you. So the woman can give him, and when he receiving it, it's a very big pleasure for a common person to say, I gave this famous person some gift and he took it and he enjoyed it. So this pleasure is so strong that the woman can give to the husband the ring, for example, and then she will become engaged with this act. So when we think about the privilege and the honor of the human being to be partner with God in this amazing thing, to build the center of holiness in this world. Of course, this itself is a very big honor. And this itself giving us respect to ourselves. What do you mean? Who am I? I am a partner with God. We're building the temple. It means that we're receiving with this giving. Because God giving us the opportunity and the privilege and the honor to be part of Him, to be part with Him, partner with Him, with building this temple. So this is basically why we're receiving, when we're giving the donation to build the temple, the tabernacle. If we going a bit more deeper in this idea, what is a mitzvah? What is building the temple? When a person doing a mitzvah is basically receiving God. Because what is a mitzvah? A mitzvah is a desire of God. God wanted that the Jew will do this specific mitzvah. Will eat kosher. Will rest in Shabbat. Will put mezuzah in his home. Will wear tzitzit. When this person doing this mitzvah, he receiving God into his life. He receiving. He's a total receiver. Why? God have a desire. This desire, when we're talking about God Himself, God is inside His desire. You cannot separate between God to His desire. God is not like a human that is built from many parts and many details. When you're talking about the desire of God, this is God Himself. And when we, as Jewish people, executing this desire of God, we basically becoming part of God's desire. If our hand have on it the tefillin, and by this act we fulfilled God's desire, that God is Himself inside His desire, and our hand is a part of this God's desire, fulfilling God's desire, it means that we received energy of God inside our hand. when we lighted this Shabbat candle, so with this inside our energy, our effort that we put by lighting the Shabbat candles, in the time that we're doing it, we have God's desire in us because we're fulfilling all this action. Is because God asked us to do it. It means that God is the motivation and is inside our action of doing God's desire. So we're receiving from God in the moment that we're doing every mitzvah. And we know that to build a temple or the tabernacle, if we're talking about the idea is that God's presence will be revealed in this world, and in basically is with every mitzvah. Every mitzvah that a person do, God's presence is more revealed in this world. So we're building at the same idea that we're saying on the temple is by every mitzvah. Every mitzvah that a person do is a receiver from God. When a person giving charity is a giver to the other person. But this action, he receiving from it many things. First of all, this is act that will stay with him forever. Second thing, he becoming a partner with God. That God created the world in order that goodness will happen, and you doing this goodness. So we are partners, and this is the greatest honor. Not only that, you fulfill God's desire, and God's desire is inside your hand that giving the tzedakah. It means that God is inside your hand, and inside all the energy and all the effort that you put to earn this money that you gave to tzedakah. It means that God is inside our lives, and this is basically the purpose of creation. And this is basically the strongest connection that we have with God, that we are hosting God in our life. And when a person think about the honor and the privilege to live with God all the time, not by learning, sitting in synagogue and praying, by doing good deeds, doing the mitzvot, you partner with God, you're hosting God in your life. This is the greatest honor. This is the privilege. This is what Jewish people sacrifice their life in all the generations to carry God's word in the world, and by that being a partner of God. And that's why when you are a partner of something, so the partners helping each other. So obviously we helping God, we fulfilling his desire, and obviously God helping the Jewish nation. This is the partnership. So Shabbat Shalom, and Bezrat Hashem, hopefully we will have only good and great news, because our partner is very big and very great, and always willing to help us. Bezrat Hashem, we will see it in our own eyes in all the aspects of life. Shabbat Shalom.